I'm here with the heart and soul, the promoter, the booker of CCW, Coastal Championship Wrestling. Nelio, how are you doing today?
I feel great. I feel it's Saturday, so we have a show, and I feel amazing. How are you?
I feel amazing as well. I'm very excited for the show. And I actually wanted to have a more in-depth conversation with you. So to people who are not familiar, maybe, who haven't watched CCW, can you give us a little snippet of the history of the company? How did it come to be? When did it happen?
20 years ago, my business partner, the co-founder of CCW, Dan Ackerman, they started the company in 2004. It's funny because Florida wrestling, we have championship wrestling in Florida. You have an amazing heritage of wrestling in professional wrestling in Florida. And at the time, Dustin Rhodes, they were living in Florida. So they kind of were instrumental in the creation of what CCW was. And then guys like MVP, and other amazing, Florida wrestling legends, coming together, including a lot of people who were involved in championship wrestling in Florida, came together and started the company. And I think in the last 6 years, we've grown exponentially, from running 6 shows a year to over 60 live events last year. So, we're kind of exploding right now, and it's a runaway freight train. I can't even believe how it feels.
And you talked previously about the concept of pretty much the territories coming back, and you guys have encompassed the entirety of Florida pretty much with your reach, but you're also in Nashville as well. So can you talk about your outreach, whether there's plans on growing it or whether you're just trying to really cover the Florida market?
That is a great question. You don't want to grow too quickly because it waters down the current product that you have. So it's a big fight that I have because, we see a lot of new fans. Like we just opened up the market in Tampa, which is an incredibly important market for professional wrestling in America, let alone the state of Florida. But, Tampa, Orlando, Miami, Homestead. We just did the Florida Keys last night. We are growing, but we want to make sure that we ensure the quality of our fans to our fans and the quality of our shows. So you don't want to overextend yourself. So it's a really difficult thing to do. I'm currently really focused in Florida. I love the state of Tennessee. We have the Battle of Nashville. We're going to be crowning our first ever CCW Tennessee heavyweight champion May 17th. So, Tennessee is important to me, but we are professional wrestling in Florida. So I think we're really here to stake our claim and defend our claim of being the last territory, which I think is legitimate. It was about 4 years ago, and one of the guys came in and he said, listen, it feels like I'm working in the territory. And I said, you know what, there's no other territories right now. So we were the last one. And I know there's a lot of people reviving the territories or attempting to revive the territories, but I think we have the state of Florida covered at least. And I'm excited about that. It's like creating a loop of wrestling, creating a style of wrestling that is unique to Florida, but also unique that the fans will be able to follow from show to show. You want to reward the fans for coming to 6 shows or 8 shows a month, and you also want to reward the fans in Miami who only come to the Miami show. So, we have a very unique perspective, and I think a very unique product considering. We're not all elite wrestling. We're not the WWE, and there's no delusions of grandeur. I know a lot of wrestling companies are crazy like that, but when it comes to Florida, I really do feel that we have it kind of taken care of.
Yeah, for sure. And you guys have a pretty consistent roster, though you do feature legends like Billy Gunn and some, hot free agents and some superstars from other companies. Like QT Marshall is your current heavyweight champion, but you still keep a very consistent roster that the storylines exist within. Is that your conscious focus to build up your homegrown talent?
It's awesome that you see that very quickly. You're really smart. You have a very smart wrestling mind. That is kind of the focus, but similar to what the territories were, you do need to sprinkle in a little bit of, I don't want to call them even star power, because when they come here, I look at Cha-Cha Charlie, I look at Jackal Stevens, Ariel Levy, I look at Skits, I look at Ozzy, I look at those guys, and they're on the same level as those guys that are coming in. And I love it when, we'll bring in someone from TNA, we'll bring someone from MLW, or bring a lot of people from All Elite Wrestling, and they'll be shocked and surprised at how our local guys are getting so much support, like amazing crowd reactions. Moose he defended the Impact Championship title here against Cha-Cha Charlie, and he came to the back just in utter shock that the entire, like 99.9% of the entire building were screaming for Cha Cha Charlie. So it's an incredible thing to say about CCW and the job that we're doing, and that we do have that base roster that is, I think, the focus of the show. But yeah, of course, I was mentored by guys like Bill Alfonso, by guys like Kevin Sullivan, and they're so focused on making sure that your homegrown talent and your guys are the focus of the show, because that they're going to be there for the most part. I love to see it when guys get hired, but you have to put that priority on the show. And I think the locals see that, and then they get behind those guys. But then you have a situation where QT Marshall was leaving AEW, and he had wrestled here in 2008, in the beginning of his career, and he had likened it to coming home. And so, an ability to have QT come and work incredible matches 5 or 6 times a month when you didn't have wasn't working with All Elite Wrestling for that small time was awesome too, because I think it helped to revitalize the love that he had in professional wrestling. Also you have guys on All Elite Wrestling who come down, and instead of working a 3-minute match or a 2-minute television match, they're working like an incredible match in front of 400 people, in front of 300 people, but fans that are engaged and really loving what they're doing. So they can kind of feel a different level than what they're normally at.
And talking about people getting hired, like you mentioned, there's a lot of your core talent getting featured on AEW, getting featured on RH, on televised pro wrestling companies. We see The Crown on RH all the time. We see Angelica Risk on AEW. We see Mila Moore on AEW. As a promoter, how does that make you feel? Does it make you feel like people are using CCW as a stepping stone, or does it make you feel like it's a growing garden of talent?
Yeah, no, I think it's awesome. It also, we need to cycle out guys. Like, you will be stale if you stay forever. So, that's the dream, is that the Crown are signed. Ariel Levy is the Spanish announcer for All Elite Wrestling, but guess what? He's still here on the weekend. He's still here tonight. The Crown are still here. They're going to be here tonight. That's one of the surprises. This won't drop before the show, but you have guys that they're always going to be there. Mila, what is he? Stax? He was Jake Tucker. I always know him as Jake Tucker. I saw Jake Tucker at WrestleMania, and he said that just the time that he spent at CCW and the fun that he had here prepared him for the WWE. Bianca Corelli, who is Ariana Grace, the same thing. Like, she just had an incredible run here, and she was going to get signed whether she stepped into CCW or not. But she definitely, she improved and she felt better with the crowds working with us. So I do feel pride. It doesn't annoy me. I take it as a challenge. I hope Cha Cha Charlie gets signed and Jackal gets signed and the next guy gets signed, so that I can go and find the next guy, so that I can find the next Crown, so that I can find the next Cha Cha, Jackal. People who are hungry, who are ready to explode, and who want to move to Florida. Florida's not a bad place to live.
Florida's a great place.
It's a great place to live, right? And they can work 6 times, 8 times a month, and in front of real crowds, and prepare themselves, for the next level, if they're able to get there.
And you are doing everything to be able to find the new talent, because you guys also have a school.
Yes.
And Gangrel is one of the coaches in the school. Can you talk about the school a little bit and what it's like? Are there any cool people to keep an eye on?
So we've gotten to this awesome level. Gangrel is an incredible coach. He's an incredible trainer. He's a head coach. We have an awesome level where signed MMA fighters come in during the afternoon. We've had Olympic pole vaulters. We have 1 Olympic pole vaulter who's already spoken to the WWE, is training with us. So it actually makes it easier, because the WWE already knows about these people, and they come, they train with us, and then we can say, wow, we got them ready for the WWE. An example like that was Valerie Loreda, Lola Vice, who had an incredible match with Natty Neidhart this week. I mean, she came in and she took her first rolls, her first bumps with us, but she was going to get to the WWE no matter what. So you have that level of athlete that are coming to CCW and working with Gangrel and working with our trainers and getting within the system. But you also have people from all over South Florida, coming in and trying their best. So you have an interesting mix of real professional athletes and, people who will eventually are trained to become professional wrestlers and real professional athletes. And you're working together, and I'm in a very unique situation, because I can see someone comes in who's incredibly charismatic, who's incredibly smart, and who doesn't maybe have the physical tools, and maybe they'll get those physical tools. And then I'll see college football players or MMA fighters who come in and they have all the physical tools, but they have no idea how to be a professional wrestler. And I love to see, you don't ever love to see anybody fail, but you love to see who's going to succeed and who's not going to succeed. And it all just comes down to heart and the work ethic. And with 40, I think we have 44 active students at CCW, afternoon classes, night classes. It's been really successful and fun. but overwhelming because you have a lot of people's lives and their careers and their futures sometimes riding on the ability of you continually succeeding. So there's a little bit of added pressure to that.
And it's amazing to see all the growth, all the new talent. And one last question, if you could sum it up in a couple of phrases, what's CCW's mission? What does it bring to the people, and what does it bring to the world of professional wrestling?
So we're the last territory. I believe that we can be what the lapsed fan of professional wrestling absolutely loved. You know, there's a huge amount of people who used to love wrestling. I think if you come to CCW, this is more than a few phrases, but I try to put together a show where, let's say you're working in an office and you're a huge fan of professional wrestling and there's a cute girl you want to ask out. Are you embarrassed to take her to the local wrestling show? At CCW, you're not going to be embarrassed. You're going to come here, you're going to have drinks, you're going to have a great time, and then she's going to want to come back, which allows you to have a second date at least with the girl. So this is like, and I really, like, I know it's kind of a joke, but I really book shows and I really try to put the shows together based entirely on the fact of like, can you take a date here? And she's gonna wanna come back. Because not only will she come back, but the rest of the office will come back. And it's working so far. So that would be the way that I would put the shows out there. You know, your intelligence is not insulted for the most part. I'll try my best. Good professional wrestling and heart and love.
It's wonderful. You heard it here. If you want to get the girl, bring her to CCW.
You will not be embarrassed. I promise.
Well, thank you so much. I'm excited for the show tonight.
I'm very excited, and I'm excited that you're here.